What's up, guys? Walker Buck here. Today I'm back for another video, and in this video I'm gonna be doing my first 2021 NBA mock draft, and I'm gonna have a lot more throughout the season, but this is gonna be my first one. Just gonna be lottery picks for now. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like, comment down below any videos you want me to do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. At 77 right now, I'm trying to hit 100 soon, but now let's get started. And with the first pick, it belongs to the Washington Wizards, which, by the way, if you're wondering how I got these picks in orders, I use Tankathon and their current order, which it will unlikely be like this, but I'm just doing it just for fun. But I got the Wizards taking Cade Cunningham, which you may be wondering, why would they take a guard? They have Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. Cade Cunningham is, in most people's eyes, the consensus #1 pick, and Bradley Beal may request a trade. Who really knows? They're really struggling. They're not sure. Russell Westbrook is definitely not the future point guard for the Washington Wizards. I don't see him returning by the time his contract expires, unless he just really loves Washington for some reason. By the looks of it, he's not having so much fun, especially since he's a true winner who wants to win and just really hasn't had that in Washington. So I see them building around Cade Cunningham, having him be the guard of the future, and who they want to be the star of the team. With the #2 pick, we got the Detroit Pistons. I got them taking Jalen Green, who will be a really good 2-guard next to Killian Hayes to develop for the future. They're good with big, so it's clear they're going to want either a wing or a guard. And it was between him and Evan Mobley for who is the second best player in this draft class, with a couple of Jalen Suggs potentially being in there. But I think it's between Mobley and Green, but I don't see him wanting to take Mobley with all the bigs they got. So I should take a Jalen Green to be a good scoring guard next to Killian Hayes, who's developing as a playmaker. With the third pick, I got the Minnesota Timberwolves taking Jonathan Kuminga. It's clear what the Wolves lack: defense and a good power forward. With Cat out there mixing rotation minutes with Nas Reed, Ed Davis, Jake Layman, who's in my opinion is a small forward, and then Juancho Hernangomez. Jonathan Kuminga can easily sign in that forward position, provide defense that only him and Okogie really bring super well for the team. I think their fit would be really nice for the Wolves. That could potentially help them, along with Edwards, D'Lo, and Cat, become a future playoff team. Not yet, but potentially next year. At #4, we got the Toronto Raptors, who I definitely don't see them sitting at 4, or the Wizards at 1, but oh well. And at #4, we got the Raptors are taking Evan Mobley. It's clear they need a big. Losing Ibaka and Gasol really hurt them. Alex Fled and Aaron Baines have not lived up to being a really good center for them. So having Evan Mobley immediately be our starting center, along with Siakam, OG, and then you have Van Vliet and Lowry in the backcourt, that could be almost a playoff lock squad if Mobley is really what is said to be true, potentially being the second best player in this draft class. At #5, we're going to have the Memphis Grizzlies, and I got them taking Jalen Johnson. The reason why I got them taking it is because their small forward position has not been the best. Justin Winslow hasn't still played yet. You got Brandon Clark, who looks like he's kind of taking a downfall from his rookie year, which is kind of sad to see. You're not going to see much improvement from him. Kyle Anderson's been good, but he is not going to be like that all year. You already know that. And then Dylan Brooks has been very inconsistent. Having a versatile forward like Jalen Johnson potentially play the 3 spot next to Jaren Jackson Jr. And in some positions, you got Jaren Jackson being the small ball 5 and having Jalen Johnson being the small ball 4. I think his versatility and his ability to finish at the rim, along with Jaren Jackson's spacing and John Morant's attacking ability, I feel like they could be a huge athletic duo, potentially trio. And I feel like that squad is going to be really scary. And it solidifies their young core at potentially being the best in the league. At #6, we're going to have the Denver Nuggets taking Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs, one of the most talented players, having a crucial injury, but hopefully he returns back and continues to produce how he was producing in Gonzaga, being a really good combo guard next to Jamal Murray in the backcourt, as Gary Harris has looked like he's kind of regressing, even though he just had a really good game against the Sixers. That was against the G League squad. We don't count that. But he's been looking like he's really regressed, and I just feel like having Jalen Suggs in the backcourt next to Jamal Murray could be a really scary duo. At #7, we're going to have the Chicago Bulls taking Greg Brown, which Greg Brown is going to be that bully that they need, a big, athletic big, with Wendell Carter Jr. being athletic and a rim protector, but he just looks like sometimes he gets bodied by guards. I feel like having that true rim protector who has that size and has athleticism and not afraid to be shy in a moment, being on one of the top teams in the country in Texas, willing to take dribble drives, willing to shoot the ball a little bit. I just like his confidence. I feel like he can be really well, especially if Lauri Markkanen does not want to return. He could easily replace him at the 4 spot, put Patrick Williams at the 3 to replace Otto Porter, Wendell Carter at the 5, and bam, you got a future starting 5. At #8 and #9, they both belong to OKC, 8th via Miami and 9th via Houston. which both teams, I'm not really sure if they'll stay here. Maybe Houston if they trade James Harden, or James Harden just gets mad and really doesn't try for Houston. But with the 8th and 9th pick, I got OKC taking Brandon Boston and Usman Garuba, with Garuba being the reach. I think they're just really desperate for a young big to build around, with Poku really being more of a forward, same with Darius Bazley. And with him developing as their big man, I feel like he has super high upside, but he just needs to untap it. And potentially being with OKC's development staff, they could really untap it. And then the same thing with Brandon Boston, who is a really good guard, but being on that Kentucky team has really struggled. His stock kind of has went down as potentially a top 5 pick to maybe not even top 10, maybe not even a lottery pick. But I think he still has super high upside, and with OKC development staff, he could potentially be the shooting guard of the future next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who can run a bunch of point guard. You'll have Lou Dort there for defensive purposes, and I feel like the OKC young core is just going to continue to build around. And with these two high upside guys, it could really help. Then at number 10, we're going to have the New Orleans Pelicans selecting Moses Moody, which Moses Moody is actually a really good shooter that could really help be put in the starting 5 of the Pelicans lineup, as Nickeil Alexander-Walker is their only other true young shooting guard, but he has not been getting too many minutes, so maybe getting Moses Moody the opportunity to fit in that number 2 spot, and hopefully with his emerging offensive game, he could really help launch the ball, but his amazing catch and shoot ability, plus just all of his around shooting ability, could just really help the Pelicans, and potentially with a mentor like JJ Redick, he could become really scary. Then at number 11, we're going to have the Sacramento Kings. And with their pick, they're going to be selecting Scottie Barnes, which I think could be a really good forward. And the reason why I have him choosing this is because he could really replace Harrison Barnes. They got a lot of youth in multiple positions. They have a good point guard in the future. They have another good young guard in Tyrese Haliburton for the future. And they got a really good young big who honestly may not be with the Kings, but they could get a lot of the trade value for him. But if he decides to stay, Marvin Bagley could be a really good big for him in the future. And I just don't really like Harrison Barnes' long-term ability. So I think placing Scottie Barnes there could really help the Kings have a young core to build around. And then all they got to do is find a young center. But I wouldn't want the Kings to be reaching for a guy like Ibu Dianko Baji. So I think getting Scottie Barnes is more of the safer option for the Kings. I think he could be a really good replacement, as he's a good all-around player and honestly has some guard skills as a big. And he can play, maybe if he continues to get in the weight room, he could be a small ball center. But I think they'll likely want him at the 4 and Bagley at the 5, or you even have Bagley at the 4, Barnes at the 3. And then at the big, you're going to have like Rashawn Holmes, or maybe find a young big to build around. At number 12, we got the Charlotte Hornets, and they're going to be selecting Zaire Williams, which I think, to be honest, it's clear the Hornets need a big, but I don't see him reaching for Bianco Baji yet, because I don't think he's anywhere close to being a lottery pick yet. So I think getting a wing is their second most needed position, as they have a lot of faith to PJ Washington. Miles Bridges has been really inconsistent, even though he's actually fit really well with LaMelo Ball. I think getting another safe wing, like a young wing in Zaire Williams, could really help. He's pretty athletic and has a lot of upside, and he's able to shoot the ball really well, which could really help LaMelo's playmaking ability being tapped to another level. I just think the last thing they need is another guard. Even with a bunch of really good guards left on the board, I think they'll just take the safe spot by choosing the wing. At number 13, we're going to have the Atlanta Hawks choose Jaden Springer, the shooting guard who has a bunch of upside, and I feel like that's their only weakness that they really need to upgrade on. Even though Trae Young has kind of not been like the Trae Young we saw at the beginning of the year, I think really they just need a really good 2 guard. They could get a power forward, but having Dylan Gallinari and even a Nyeka Okongwu who can play the 4, and then Nyeka Okongwu and Clint Capella who can all play the 5, I think they just really need to upgrade from that shooting spot. Kevin Huerter may not be the guy. And I think they like playing Cam Reddish at the 3, and Jaden Springer's upside could be so high if you use him correctly. He's able to play defense and he's able to shoot pretty well, even though his 3-point shot hasn't been the most consistent, but his high energy on defense could be really well paired next to Trae Young, and I just like the upside that this duo could have. And to end the lottery, we got the Houston Rockets via OKC, and they're going to be selecting Corey Kispert out of Gonzaga, a good veteran kind of wing, one of the older prospects, but he's able to shoot really well, and he could just be a perfect role player. As you see, a bunch of role players have been picked off really early, like even last year. Jalen Smith and Aaron Nesmith have both been pretty well. Even though they don't have some of the highest upside, they could be really good role players. So Corey Kispert could be a really good role player for them. He's able to shoot really well, And just, you see all these shooters around James Harden that really helps him thrive his game. And Corey Kispert will just add to it, get a bunch of rotational minutes most likely. When Eric Gordon starting to look more inconsistent, Corey Kispert could maybe start at that small forward role between him and Daniel House. They'll be battling for minutes. But they'll both help out James Harden develop his game. Maybe he can develop more of an offensive game as he pairs with a guy like James Harden, John Wall, and a bunch of other offensive specialists. What do you guys think about this mock draft? If you want more of these, make sure to drop a like on it. Comment down below any new videos you want me to do. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Peace out, guys.